Okay, good afternoon. Now, today I will conduct practical number 2, that is sensors, actuators, and end effectors. We will study whatever sensors are there, whatever actuators are there, and whatever end effectors are there. In short, therefore, sensors in that sensor classification: joint angle sensor, rotary encoders, proximity sensors and switches, range sensors, GPS, IMU. Actuators, in that we will see compare hydraulic, pneumatic, and electric drives, DC motor, stepper motor, AC motor, speed control of AC motor, variable frequency drives, and drive selection criteria. Then end effectors and grippers, classification, applications, design and selection criteria. Now, what is meant by sensor? Definition of sensor: sensors are devices for sensing and measuring geometric and physical properties of robots and the surrounding environment. Sensors can measure position, orientation, velocity, acceleration, then distance, size, force, moment, temperature, luminance, weight, etc. Now, here in this diagram, different sensors are there: ultrasonic sensors, infrared sensors, touch sensors. Now, sensors in robots are like our nose, ears, mouth, and skin, whereas vision or robot vision can be thought of as our eyes. Robots, like humans, must gather extensive information about their environment in order to function effectively. They must pick up an object and know it has been picked up. As the robot arm moves through the three-dimensional Cartesian space, it must avoid obstacles and approach items to be handled at a controlled speed. Some objects are heavy, others are fragile, and others are hot to handle. These characteristics of objects and the environment must be recognized and fed to the computer that controls a robot's movement. Hence, we need efficient and appropriate sensors in robots. Now we will see some of the sensors. Description. Now this is the sensor classification. Sensors are classified as internal sensors and external sensors. In internal sensors, they are again classified as position sensors, in position sensors, incremental encoder, absolute encoder, potentiometer, LVDT resolver. In case of again velocity sensors, Hall effect sensor, all position sensors, tachometer, acceleration sensors, all force sensors, then force sensors, strain gauge, piezoelectric sensors, Hall effect sensors. Now sensors are again classified as external sensors: contact type, limit switch, pneumatic switch, piezoelectric sensors, pressure transducers. Then non-contact type: proximity sensors, Hall effect sensors, microwave sensors, ultrasonic sensors, laser sensors, and vision sensors. Now, one by one example we will see. Same thing are there. Now, internal sensors means what? Robot sensors can be classified into two groups: internal sensors and external sensors. Internal sensors obtain the information about the robot itself, that is position sensor, velocity sensor, acceleration sensors, motor torque sensor, etc. And external sensors obtain the information around the, that is about the surrounding environment. These are nothing but cameras for viewing the environment, range sensors, that is infrared sensor, laser range finder, ultrasonic sensor, etc. Contact and proximity sensors, photodiode, IR detector, RFID, touch, etc. Force sensors measuring the interaction forces with the environment, etc. This is the mobile robot with external sensors, cameras, ultrasonic sensors. Now we'll see one encoder, and then we'll see another sensors. First of all, we'll see only one sensor, that is position measurement or position sensors. An optical encoder is to measure the rotational angle of a motor shaft. It consists of a light beam, a light detector, and a rotating disc with a radial grating on its surface. The grating consists of black lines separated by clear spaces. The widths of the lines and spaces are the same. Line cut the beam, a low signal output. Space allow the beam to pass, a high signal output. A train of pulses is generated with rotation of the disc. By counting the pulses, it is possible to know the rotational angle. Now encoders, see here, this is incremental linear encoder. It has a transparent glass scale. This is the transparent glass scale with opaque grating. These gratings are opaque. Opaque means what? They are allowing light to pass. The thickness of grating lines, and the gap between them is made same, which are in the range of microns. See that thickness of the grating lines and the gap between the two grating lines is same, and they are in terms of micron. One side of the scale is provided with a light source. See that this is the scale. One side is provided with a light source and a condenser lens. On the other side, there are light sensitive cells. On the other side, there are light sensitive cells. The resistance of the cells decreases whenever a beam of light falls on them. Therefore, the resistance of these cells will decrease whenever beam of light falls on them. Thus, a pulse is generated each time a beam of light is intersected by the opaque line. This pulse is fed to the controller, which updates a counter, that is a record of the distance traveled. Therefore, from this light sensitive cell, on this light sensitive cells, light falls. Therefore, what is happening? The resistance of the cells decreases when the beam of light falls on them. Therefore, this resistance of these light cells will decrease when the beam of light falls on them. And thus a pulse is generated each time a beam of light is intersected. Therefore, here pulse will be generated. Therefore, this pulse is fed to the controller. Again, here some connection is there which updates a counter. Now, this is absolute linear encoder. It is similar in principle as the incremental linear encoder. The difference is that it gives absolute value of the distance covered at any time. Thus, the change of missing the pulses at high speeds is less. The output is digital in this case. The scale is marked in a sequence of opaque and transparent strips. In the scale shown, if the opaque block represents 1 and the transparent block at 0, then the leftmost column will show a binary number, that is as 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. That is a decimal value of 0. And the rightmost column will show a binary number of 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. That is a decimal value of 61. But this is nothing but absolute linear encoder, if you will see. This scale is marked in a sequence of opaque and transparent strips. This is the transparent and this is the opaque. Now next is rotary encoder. See that this is the rotation disc is there. Then this light source is there. When this light source is getting illuminated, that light will pass through this rotary encoder through their grating lines and it will fall on light detector. Again, that light detector will pass the signal to the signal processing electronics and we will get the exact position. See that for next in that rotary, internal rotary encoder. It is similar to the linear incremental encoder, with a difference that the gratings are now on a circular disc. See that here gratings are there on circular disc. The common value of the width of transparent spaces is 20 microns. There are two sets of grating lines on two different circles which detect direction of rotation. and one can also enhance the accuracy of the sensor. There is another circle which contains only one grating mark. It is used for measurement of full circles. Therefore, this is incremental rotary encoder. It consists of two scales or two sets of grating lines on two different circles which detect direction of rotation. Now next is absolute rotary encoder. Similar to the absolute linear encoder, the circular disc is divided into a number of circular strips. See that this circular disc is divided into a number of circular strips, and each strip has definite arc segments. Each strip has definite arc segments are there. This sensor directly gives the digital output, that is absolute. The encoder is directly mounted on the motor shaft or with some gearing to enhance the accuracy of measurement. To avoid noise in this encoder, a gray scale is sometimes used. A gray code, unlike binary codes, allows only one of the binary bits in a code sequence to change between radial lines. It prevents confusing changes in the binary output of the absolute encoder when the encoder oscillates between points. Now this will go to, we'll study only this one sensor, LVDT, that is linear variable differential transformer. See that is one of the most used displacement transducers, particularly when high accuracy is needed. It generates an AC signal whose magnitude is related to the displacement of a moving core as indicated in figure. If you will see, these are two here, this winding and this winding are known as primary winding, this is known as secondary winding. Therefore, this is the movable iron core or ferrous core is there. It can move linearly either towards left, either towards right. Now, this iron core, whenever it will move, it will generate some current in these primary windings and secondary windings, and that depends upon or EMF, or that depends upon the portion, the percentage portion of the core or the portion of the cover in front of that primary winding or the secondary winding. Therefore, there is a central core surrounded by two identical secondary coils and a primary coils. These two secondary coils are there. This is the primary coil as shown in figure. As the core changes position with respect to the coils, see that it changes the magnetic field, and hence voltage amplitude in the secondary coil changes as a linear function of the core displacement over considerable segment. A rotary variable differential transformer operates under the same principle as the LVDT, is also with a range of approximately plus minus 40 degrees. Now, next is Hall effect sensor. 4455 we will see. See that this is permanent magnet is there. Then this is the Hall chip is there. It is also provided with some voltage. For the permanent magnet also we have provided some voltage. Another velocity measuring device is the Hall effect sensor, whose principle is described next. If a flat piece of conductor material called Hall chip is attached to a potential difference on its two opposite faces as indicated in figure, then the voltage across the perpendicular faces is zero. Means that now here this current or voltage source is applied on these two faces. Therefore, the faces which are perpendicular to the faces, therefore their voltage is zero. But if a magnetic field is imposed at right angles to the conductor, if suppose we will pass magnetic field from north pole to south pole, the voltage is generated on the two other perpendicular faces, voltage will also generate on these two other perpendicular faces. Higher the field value, higher the voltage level. If one provides a ring magnet, the voltage induced is proportional to the speed of rotation of the magnet. Now, we will see this last, that is global positioning and inertial measurement unit, IMU. An inertial measurement unit is a device that operates multi-axis accelerometers, gyroscopes, and other sensors to provide estimation of an object orientation in space. Measurements of acceleration, angular rate, and altitude are typical data outputs. Micro strength IMU inertial sensors are commonly used in robot dynamic programming, dynamic motion, and terrain compensation, payload platform stabilization, and antenna and camera pointing applications. And IMU reports data related to orientation, velocity, and gravity, depending on which sensors are involved. This data is important for maneuvering vehicles or aircraft, or simply for tracking this task for some other purpose. For instance, unmanned aircraft such as drones utilize IMU, that is inertial measurement unit, for reporting data to the operator or for automating certain maneuvering functionality with the assistance of a computer. A training robot may use an IMU to track its orientation and velocity at any given time. Inertial measurement unit. Most IMUs that you will find on the market consist of an accelerometer, a gyroscope, and a magnetometer. Such IMUs are said to have 9 degrees of freedom. Degrees of freedom in the context of an IMU basically refers to the fact that the IMU will report 9 different values. The accelerometer reports the acceleration force on the X, Y, and Z axis of the IMU. The gyroscope reports angular acceleration around the X, Y, and Z axis of the IMU. And the magnetometer reports the strength of the current magnetic field on the X, Y, and Z axis of the IMU. Between the three sensors, you get 9 readings, hence the term 9 degrees of freedom. Next is global positioning systems. Global positioning systems help us find where we are and where we are going. You can take the example of Google Map. They can also do the same for robots, which could have impact on fields from manufacturing to agriculture. The global positioning system GPS is made possible by a group of satellites in Earth's orbit. The constellation of satellites transmit precise signals, allowing GPS receivers on the ground to calculate and display location information to users. The GPS owned by the United States. By capturing the signals from satellites, GPS receivers are able to use the mathematical principle of trilateration to pinpoint geographic locations. With the addition of computing power and memory such as road maps, points of interest, topographic information, GPS receivers are able to convert location, speed, and time information into a useful display format. Their advantages: works accurately in all weather conditions around the clock and around the globe. No subscription fee to GPS signals, generally accurate within 15 meters. Newer models with wide area augmentation system signals are accurate within 3 meters. Limitations may be blocked by dense forest, canyon walls, scrappers, bridges, and walls. Making accurate GPS navigation is difficult. Does not work well in indoor or underground spaces. Then satellite maintenance, radio interference, and solar systems can cause coverage gaps. Therefore, this is nothing but sensors. Next is we will see actuator. An actuator is a component of a machine that is responsible for moving and controlling a mechanism or system. Now just see, this is the gate wall or whatever it is. When you will open it, then and then water will flow from left side to right side. Otherwise, water is not going to flow. Actuators. Actuation is the process of conversion of energy to mechanical form. A device that accomplishes this conversion is called actuator. Actuator plays a very important role while implementing control. The controller provides command signal to the actuator for actuation. The control codes aims driving the actuator when an event has occurred or an action is needed, action is desired. Actuators are the muscles of robots. Actuators, there are three main types of actuators available depending upon the load involved. The term load is associated with many factors including force, torque, speed of operation, accuracy, precision, and power transmission. Now we'll see some actuators and then we'll go to end effectors. Actuators are three different types: hydraulic, pneumatic, and electrical type. First of all, we'll see hydraulic. Hydraulic actuators utilize high pressure fluid such as oil to transmit forces to the point of application desired. A hydraulic actuator is very similar in aerospace to that of pneumatically driven one. The hydraulic actuators are used in robots for handling heavy loads. These actuators can produce very high force if we compare them with other actuators. These actuators are deployed where higher speed, accuracy, and stability are required. Now, section of a hydraulic actuator, see that this is the damping fluid is there. Therefore, these actuators have a cylinder and a piston arrangement, which is shown in the figure. The chamber is completely filled with oil. Already I have told you that chamber is completely filled with the hydraulic fluid. The pressure applied to the fluid will push the piston and that will move the actuator output shaft. The hydraulic actuators can convert the piston movement into linear and rotary movements. That is, if this fluid is surrounding this equipment or whatever, this screw rod or whatever, then output you will get, or you will not get any output. Therefore, what you have to do, you have to convert that hydraulic actuator into this piston movement. Now, advantages of hydraulic system: high efficiency, high power to size ratio, complete and accurate control over speed, position, and direction of actuators are possible. They generally have greater load carrying capacity than electric and pneumatic systems. No special mechanical linkages are required. That is, a direct drive is obtained with mechanical simplicity, self-lubricating, and non-corrosive. Due to the presence of an accumulator which acts as a storage device, the system can meet certain demands of power. Hydraulic robots are more capable of withstanding shock loads than electric robots. Disadvantages of hydraulic actuator system. First, leakages can occur to cause loss in performance or in general contamination of the work data. There is also higher risk. The power pack can be noisy, typically 70 decibel or loud, if not protected by an acoustic muffler. Changes in temperature and changes in temperature after the velocity of the hydraulic fluid. Thus, at low temperatures, the velocity of the objective fluid will increase, possibly causing sluggish movement of the robot. For smaller robots, hydraulic power is usually not economically feasible, as the cost of hydraulic robot do not decrease in proportion to size. Servo control hydraulic systems is complex and is not as widely understood as electric servo motor. Now, pneumatic actuator. Pneumatic actuators are other types of fluid power devices for industrial robots. Pneumatic actuators utilize compressed air for the attenuation of the cylinders. Attenuation means at low level. They are widely used for typical opening and closing motions of jaws in the gripper of a robot or for the actuation of single robot forms. Simple robot arms using this is a pneumatic actuator diagram. See it, what are the different parts: barrel, piston rod, piston. Here piston is there, means here in this whatever that blank space is there, oil may be there. Now, advantages of pneumatic actuator. Okay, now next is electrical actuators or electric actuators are generally those where an electric motor drives robot links. The commonly used actuators in robotics are electric actuators. This actuator converts electrical energy into linear or rotary motion. The electric actuator can be AC or DC actuators. Main types: linear actuators, stepper motor, DC motor, AC motor. Now we'll see principle of all these. Only principle we'll see. Advantage of electrical actuator system: widespread availability of power supply. Basic drive element in an electric motor is usually lighter than that for fluid power. That, for example, that is pressurized fluid or compressed air. High power conversion efficiency, no pollution of working environment. Accuracy and repeatability of electric drive robots are normally better than fluid power robots in relation to cost. Being relatively quiet and clean, they are very acceptable environmentally. They are easily maintained and repaired. Structural components can be lightweight. The drive system is well suited to electronic control. Disadvantages of electrical actuator system: electrically driven robots often require the incorporation of some sort of mechanical transmission. Additional power is required to move the additional masses of the transmission system. Unwanted movements due to backlash and plays in the transmission elements. Due to the increased complexity with the transmission system, we need complex control requirement and additional cost for their procurement and maintenance. Now, electrical actuators are classified as linear actuators, stepper motors. Only I will read some lines or some introduction. Linear actuators like solenoids are used widely in robotic and other automation applications for on-off of the gripper and other devices. These types of actuators are also referred to as electric cylinders in line with the hydraulic or pneumatic cylinders. Solenoids are rugged and inexpensive devices. See that this is the solenoid. A solenoid has a coil and a soft iron core. When the coil is activated by a DC signal, the soft core becomes magnetized. The electromagnet can serve as on-off actuator. Stepper motors, also called stepping motors or step motors, were first used for remote control of the direction indicators of torpedo tubes and guns in British warships, and later for a similar purpose in the US Navy. A variable reluctance type stepper motor was first patented in 1990 by C.L. Walker, a Scottish civil engineer. However, its commercial production did not start until 1950. Such motors are used with small and medium robots and with teaching and hobby robots. These motors are widely used in other industrial applications, mainly due to their advantage of not requiring any feedback system and accordingly not incurring the associated cost. Stepper motors are, however, compatible with many feedback devices if so desired, and are used in full servo control configurations in medium duty industrial robots. Because they are digitally controlled, they can be referred to as digital motors or actuators. Now, DC motor. A DC motor is defined as a class of electrical motor that convert direct current electrical energy into mechanical energy. When kept in magnetic field, a current carrying conductor gains torque and develops a tendency to move. In short, when electric fields and magnetic fields interact, a mechanical force arises. This is the principle on which DC motors work. They are classified as permanent magnet DC motors, brushless permanent magnet DC motors. Then DC servo motors. Servo motors are motors with motion feedback control, which are able to follow a specified motion trajectory. In a DC servo motor, both angular position and speed might be measured using, say, shaft encoders, tachometers, resolvers, potentiometers, etc., and compared with the desired position and speed. The error signal, which is the difference between the desired minus actual responses, is conditioned and compensated using analog circuitry, or is processed by a digital hardware processor or a computer and supplied to drive the servo motor toward the desired response. Now, AC motors. An AC motor consists of external electromagnets around the central rotor, but without any form of mechanical switching mechanism for the electromagnets. However, because alternating currents such as the mains electricity supply is constantly changing polarity, first flowing one way, then the opposite way several times a second, for example 15 in India and 16 in the USA, it is possible to connect the AC supply directly to the electromagnets. The alternating reversal of the direction of current through the coils will perform the same task of polarity changing in AC motors. The magnetic field of the coils will appear to rotate almost as if the coils themselves were being mechanically rotated. Now, these are nothing but AC motors: single phase squirrel cage induction motor, 3-phase induction motor, synchronous motor, AC servo motors, variable frequency drives. A variable frequency drive is a type of motor controller that drives an electric motor by varying the frequency and voltage of its power supply. The VFD also has the capacity to control ramp up and ramp down of the motor during start or stop respectively. VFD can vary the power supply to match the energy requirement of the driven equipment, and this is how it saves energy or optimizes energy consumption. Then there are different drive selection criteria are there: load, velocity, accuracy, repeatability, reliability, power consumption, cost, form factor. Now end effector. In robotics, an end effector is the device at the end of the robotic arm designed to interact with the environment. The exact nature of this device depends on the application of the robot. See that this is the base, this may be the motor, these are the connection plates, these are waterproof enclosures. Then at the end of the robot, some thing is there, or that is known as end effector. It is used to grab the object or for pick and place purpose. See that this end effector, how it is picking and placing. And this is a jointed arm robot. The end effector is nothing but just like our fingers. Whatever our hand fingers are there, therefore we are catching or we are grabbing the different objects, we are picking and placing with our fingers. Therefore, that same function is carried out by the end effector in case of robots. Now, end effectors, it is also known as end of arm tooling, EOAT. End effectors, also known as end of arm tooling, EOAT, are devices that are attached to the end of a robotic arm. In other words, an end effector is a peripheral device that attaches to a robot's wrist, allowing the robot to interact with its task. Most end effectors are mechanical or electromechanical and serve as grippers, process tools, or sensors. They range from simple two-finger grippers for pick and place tasks to complex sensor systems for robotic inspection. There are three basic types of end effectors: grippers, process tools, and sensors. Now, first is gripper. The most common robot end effector is the simple mechanical gripper with jaws, normally called as fingers. There can be even magnetic grippers, vacuum grippers, needle grippers. It allows you to pick up and manipulate objects, which makes it best suited to tasks like pick and place, assembly, and machine tending. There are possibly more different types of gripper than there are any other type of end effector. By far, the most popular are finger grippers, which come up with 2, 3, 4, or 5 fingers. It is possible to use 6 fingers or more, but it is rarely necessary. Now, process tools. A simplistic way to think of a process tools is like worker operating a power tool. While a power gripper can only grasp the workpiece, a process tool actually works on the workpiece and does the changes in the workpiece. There are as many different process tools as there are different operations in manufacturing. Examples include robot welding tools, robot machine tools, robot painting tools, 3D printing tools, etc. Last is the sensor. You can also attach a sensor to use the robot as a programmable sensor orientation device. This is particularly useful for applications like robotic inspection, which reduce the amount of hands on time that inspection engineers need to spend collecting data. Many sensors can serve as an end effector, including ultrasonic sensors, laser scanners, 2D and 3D cameras, infrared sensors, etc. Now see that different images or photographs of the gripper is there. This is two-finger robot gripper. This is gripper with force or torque and proximity sensor. See here. This is parallel gripper because two fingers are parallel. This is three-finger gripper. This is spider grip end effector. See that this spider shape is there. Means it is just like a wave shape. Wave. WEB. Special gripper for lifting bags. See here. Grippers are there. These for lifting bags. single pad adhesive gripper, see that here adhesive may be applied. Electric magnetic gripper, these are the magnets 1, 2, 3, 4. Then vacuum gripper for sheet metal to pick and place thin sheets. You can use vacuum gripper. See that these vacuum cups are there. 1, 2, 3, and here maybe 4. Vacuum gripper. See that different vacuum cups are there. Then soft and flexible gripper. See that this is soft and flexible gripper. This is used in food industries. Food grade robot gripper. Then screwdriver with screw feeder. Now this is power tools. Earlier we have seen all the grippers. Now these are power tools. This screwdriver with screw feeder. This is polishing or surface finishing. See that at the end you can carry out. You can attach the tool and you can carry out polishing or surface finishing. This is vision system. These are the sensors. These are the cameras. Maybe charge coupled device or CMOS. See that. Picking the right end effector for spray painting. See that this is spray painting application of the robot. Spray painting of this. Different things are going on. It may be related to automobile. Some front panel or back panel may be there. Thank you. Therefore, this your practical is over. I will take your attendance. Please wait.